and welcome into another episode of the Pain and Panic Podcast. I am Adam Sheets, joining you solo today. Chris got a surprise visit from his girlfriend today, so he has other priorities. He'll be back with us later this week, so me doing a solo episode here today. And today, we're going to be going over the AFC Playoff Picture as a big domino has fell in the AFC officially today. We kind of saw this coming, maybe didn't see it coming this way, but the Kansas City Chiefs have been eliminated from playoff contention. They'll be out of the playoffs for the first time since the 2014 season, so the 2015 playoffs. It has been a long time, 11 years, since the Kansas City Chiefs have missed the playoffs. It dates back pre-Patrick Mahomes, who now will miss for the first time, and a terrible, terrible news coming out of Kansas City as well, with Patrick Mahomes suffering a torn ACL, will be out for the remainder of the season, will be knocking on the door at the start of next season as the Chiefs fall to 6-8 on the year, as it's been a disaster season for Kansas City. A lot of close losses for the Chiefs, for the team kind of everyone's talked about all year long about the Kansas City Chiefs, and will they make it? They've been that big domino. We did the playoff, predictor, last couple episodes, and we discussed it, and we're like, man, if the Chiefs are there, they're going to be a really, really dangerous team, but they are not going to be there officially as they are eliminated from playoff contention. The Cincinnati Bengals also finally eliminated from playoff contention as they fall to 4-10. They are now out of the division race in the AFC North. Tough year, a lot of decisions to be made in Cincinnati. Saw some news come out about Joe Burrow. That's not, was he going to leave? Is he going to stay? I don't think that's really up to him, but there's been a lot of noise out of Cincinnati. But we're going to start on the Chiefs here because this is huge, huge news. You're talking about a team that's won the AFC the last 3 years. They've been in the AFC Championship game every single year. Patrick Mahomes has been a starting quarterback in the NFL dating back to 2018, and it's a dangerous thing to not see them in here. The AFC feels wide open. Is it Buffalo's year? We'll get to them later. But let's talk about it. We mentioned January 2015, the last time there was a playoffs and the Kansas City Chiefs weren't on in it. The top songs, we're going to go through all this because, it's kind of always what you do. It's been a long time since something happened. The top song, Blank Space by Taylor Swift, an absolute banger of a song, was the top song in the nation going back then. The top 10 movies in the United States, American Sniper was number one. Feels like a long time since Bradley Cooper made American Sniper. Taken 3, The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies, Into the Woods, Anna Kendrick, phenomenal musical, phenomenal movie. Unbroken, Paddington came out and was in the top 10 of movies, so it's been a long time. The Wedding Ringer, The Imitation Game, Selma, and then lastly, the one that really took me back, Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb. So it's been a long time since Kansas City, back when I was a kid. But let's look at that NFL season. So, of course, it was a great year, and it was Seattle losing in the Super Bowl to the New England Patriots. The top 6 in MVP. Aaron Rodgers won MVP in the 2014 season. J.J. Watt came in second, defensive end, was nearly won it. I remember there was a big push for J.J. Watt to win the award. DeMarco Murray, the year he led the league in rushing, he finished in third in MVP voting. Tony Romo finished in fourth, so back-to-back Dallas Cowboys in the top 4. Tom Brady, the eventual Super Bowl champion that year, came in at number 5, and Bobby Wagner was rounded out the MVP voting at number 6. The top 5 fantasy performers, according to PPR. We'll go by PPR here. Chris, big fantasy guy. Getting excited. Expect a fantasy episode from Chris coming up this week. Maybe some adjustments you can make in your 2-week playoff format. Maybe that'll be coming out this week, so keep a lookout for that. But the fantasy performers, according to PPR, Antonio Brown was the top fantasy performer. Le'Veon Bell comes in second. So Pittsburgh, when they had the Killer Bees, they were buzzing up there in the AFC North. Aaron Rodgers came in third. Andrew Luck came in fourth. That's a great name. We'll talk about the Colts and their quarterback situation now. Andrew Luck back when he was, getting his stride and being one of the best young quarterbacks in the league, and rounding out the top 5, as we mentioned, was DeMarco Murray, was the highest ranked player in fantasy in January of 2015 in that 2014 NFL season. So it's been a very, very long time since the Kansas City Chiefs have missed the playoffs, which means we're going to do another recap of the AFC playoff picture as it stands now. Still 10 teams alive in the AFC trying to clinch a spot into the playoffs, which again, as we mentioned, it feels wide open now with Kansas City officially gone. You don't have that big fish kind of hanging over to see what they're going to be able to do. So the Broncos sit at 12-2, an impressive 34-26 win over the Green Bay Packers today at home. 11 straight wins after starting 1-2. Big win for Denver. Great game. Bo Nix looked phenomenal today, which is great to see. Hopefully he's able to continue rolling as Denver. I think it feels like their year. Could it be their year to open it up? The AFC West, they could say, hey, it's not just the Chiefs. The winner of the AFC West has always dominated the playoffs. So we'll see what they're able to do, but they're playing really, really good football. Micah Parsons, on another note, we're not going to talk much about the NFC today, but Micah Parsons feared to suffer a torn ACL in that game, a tough loss for a Green Bay team that was playing so well, and Micah Parsons having a great season. Looks like it's going to end short due to injury, but Denver looks good, 12-2, 7-2 in conference, 3-1 in the division, 3-2 against teams with a winning record. They haven't been tested a lot, but they've won those games 3-1 against current playoff teams, so they have been really, really good, and we'll see how they're going to be able to continue to build off of that as things move forward. The Patriots sit at number 2 and 11-3, absolutely brutal loss for Drake May and the New England Patriots. They led Buffalo 21-0, had them on the ropes in their place, but the Bills outscored the Patriots 35-10 to finish that game as the Bills win 35-31. A great comeback in an intense race. The Patriots could have clinched up the AFC East with a win today. They do not. They are one game up on Buffalo right now, who sits at 10-4. Patriots 6-3 in conference, 3-1 in the division. That was their first division loss. 3-2 against teams with winning records and 2-2 against playoff teams. Again, they've really beaten up. A lot of people are questioning that schedule. 8 of their 11 wins comes against teams with losing records. They've dominated the bad teams. How are they going to fare against the good teams? Another team that absolutely waxed a bad team, my Jacksonville Jaguars, who sit at 10-4, 7-2 in conference, 5-3 against teams with winning record, 4-3 against playoff teams, as we mentioned, going in. 5-1 against the teams with a losing record, and they smacked the New York Jets 48-20 today. Trevor Lawrence had one of the best games you'll ever see. I've been critical of Trevor Lawrence at times, but he was phenomenal today. 300-plus yards, 5 passing touchdowns, 50 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. First player in NFL history to have that stat line. An impressive day for the Prince, who's going to look to take the Jags to the playoffs. First 10-win season for Jacksonville since 2017. That's the year they went to the AFC Championship game and lost to Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. The year Nick Foles won the Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles. Feels like it'll be another crazy year. Feels like we could see maybe a backup quarterback. A lot of backup quarterbacks out there. Maybe sneak in and make the playoffs and do some damage. So it's going to be interesting to see. But the Jags are rolling. Liam Cohen. It's always the first year for Jacksonville coaches. We saw Doug Marrone in his first year take the Jags to the AFC Championship game. Saw Doug Peterson in his first year take the team to win a playoff game against the Chargers. They went 9-8. And now we're seeing Liam Cohen do the same as the Jags sit at 10-4. Pardon me for a drink break. All alone today. Chris is going to be back, as I mentioned, later this week. The Steelers, still a 4 seed. They sit at 7-6. They have a big game tomorrow, Monday Night Football, when they take on the Dolphins. The Chargers at 10-4. They're the team that officially eliminated the Kansas City Chiefs. They 16-13. Really gutsy win. They were down 13-3 in this game. They claw their way back and get a tough AFC West win. Felt like a Jim Harbaugh game. They have the coaching experience. We can talk about it. They're 5-0 in the AFC West, which is a very tough division. You have Kansas City. You have Denver sitting up there. They're 5-0. They get Denver again later this year. 3-2 against playoff teams. 3-1 against playoff teams, 3-2 against teams with a winning record. So they've been really good. They have some bad losses, but, gutsy win against Philly and now a gutsy win against Kansas City, and they're trending in the right direction. The offensive line, definitely a problem. How's Justin Herbert going to look at a playoff game? I don't know. He's played 2 of them. He hasn't looked good in either of them, so a lot of concerns there with the Chargers. There's a lot of unnecessary hate, though, on the Chargers on this show in our last episode, so I don't want to be too critical of the Los Angeles Chargers, but they're 10-4, and they're an absolute threat. They're the top wildcard team now, winning the tiebreaker over the team we'll talk about now, the Buffalo Bills. On the flip side of that Patriots loss, what a win from Buffalo. From the ashes, their defense still a concern. They looked really slow early in the game, but boy, what a bounce back. What a big win for this team. They're at 10-4, 8-2 in the conference, 4-2 against teams with winning record, 3-2 against playoff teams. They're a really good team. They are for real. And now with the Chiefs out, that's been the hurdle for the Buffalo Bills. How do you get over that? And now with a huge win, keeps them alive in the AFC East as they're trying to continue that race. There's a lot that goes into winning a Super Bowl, and the Bills gutsy win over New England today. Can they carry that momentum, potentially win out, win the AFC East, and make a run in the playoffs, which it feels like it could be. Going into this year, everyone's like, it has to be Josh's year. It has to be the year the Bills finally get over the hump and get to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs out, they could be the biggest benefactor of that. The last team currently in the AFC playoffs is the Houston Texans, who sit at 9-5. They smacked up on a bad team just like Jacksonville did today. They defeated the Arizona Cardinals 40 to 20, I believe was the final score of that game. Good win. Offense looked good. Offense continues to hum. They're riding a hot winning streak right now. They get the Colts once more. It's a great season for the Texans, as started out really bad. Started 0-3, but they've now bounced back in a big way as they get to 9-5, 7-2 in the AFC, 4-5 against teams with a winning record. They have a losing record, but they played a lot of games against good teams. All their losses come to good teams. They've really dominated the bad teams the way they should. They're 5-0 against teams with losing records. So it's been really, really good to see. Then the team on the outside looking in that nearly was able to steal a win to get to 9-5 today, the Indianapolis Colts starting Grandpa Philip Rivers, 44 years old, is a grandfather. They fell to 8-6 in a brutal 18-16 loss. The Seahawks did not score a touchdown today against the Indianapolis Colts, but it was not enough for the Colts to get the win in Seattle. So they dropped to 8-6, officially one game back. They do get the Texans one more time, which could be a win and a flip, and maybe you're back in it. Don't know. They got to play Jacksonville again. They got to play San Francisco, who moved to 10-4 today. So brutal stretch coming up for Indianapolis and Philip Rivers and that team, but it's just, I have my concerns with Indianapolis. What are we doing? You're riding with Philip Rivers. Andrew Luck must really hate football. He would have been my first call. Talk about they called like Sam Ellinger. We're talking ex-Colts quarterbacks. Andrew Luck sitting there in Stanford, but I think he's officially done. Philip Rivers, okay. I didn't do much. Not good. Not bad. Not good. You were there. There's a pedestrian board. Did make mistakes. This is a big thing you could say with Philip Rivers. He didn't make the mistake to lose them the game. Defense nearly was able to win it, but the Seahawks find a way to get the win, and the Colts, they were going to need, it kind of felt like after the Daniel Jones injury, how are they going to respond? And now it's going to be really, really tough. And again, it also is tough because you look at the teams they're behind, they're all playing really good football. The Bills get a comeback win from the ashes against New England. The Chargers get a big win over Kansas City. The Texans dominate the Cardinals. The Jags dominate the Jets. Like, the teams you're chasing looked really good today. That's just how it works sometimes. That's how it fell for them. The Ravens sit at 9th. They're not really, we don't feel like they're chasing a wild card spot. So those wild card teams that are playing high doesn't affect them. The team that affects them right now is the 4 seed in the AFC North leader in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mentioned they got a big one against the Dolphins tomorrow, who we'll get to next. Ravens, big one, 24-0, smacking around the Cincinnati Bengals, officially eliminating them. Everyone's saying how dangerous the Bengals could be. They were 4-9. Oh, could they win 4 straight, even though they won 4 of their first 13? And they fall to Baltimore, who bounces back. Baltimore 7-7 overall, 5-5 in conference, 2-2 in non-conference, basically 500 everywhere. Against good teams, though, they have not been good. 1-5 against teams with a winning record. Got a tough stretch coming up. They got to play the Patriots next week. So Patriots looking to bounce back. Ravens looking to continue their push. Feel like the Ravens need some help. They do get the Steelers again, so don't know where that tiebreaker would go off the top of my head. The Steelers currently 3-1 in the division. The Ravens are 3-2. So we'll see where that tiebreaker would potentially go. If it goes to conference and it's just one, I don't know where it would go yet. So not going to pull out the playoff predictor right now, but that's where the Ravens sit 500, trying to chase down the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC North, who sit at 7-6, who take on the 6-7 Dolphins tomorrow night, who are still in wild card contention, 3-6 in the conference. They have not been good in the AFC. They were dominating the NFC though, 3-1 against the NFC. Again, they're another team, 1-5 against teams with a winning record, 1-3 against playoff teams. They haven't beat good teams. They get Pittsburgh tomorrow, which could be a big win for them on Monday night at Acrisure Stadium. But Dolphins, again, they're a fever dream. We have them in here because they're technically not eliminated, but they're there. They haven't lost since Halloween. They are playing really good football right now, but no one really looks at Miami and says that's a threat. That's a huge threat in the AFC, the way you look at some of these other teams. Like if the Ravens get in, the Chiefs are gone. Lamar Jackson, if he gets hot, like there's a lot that you could talk yourself into. Derrick Henry. With the Dolphins, you have your concerns about Tua playing in the cold in the playoffs. And plus they're in the AFC East, which is loaded right now. The Patriots loss might hurt them a little bit because now you're going to have to play a fully loaded Patriots team who is looking for a win instead of maybe getting a resting Patriots team. So they also get the Jets again, which should be a win. I mean, you watch Brady Cook play today, and if Brady Cook remains a starter, I don't know the injury status of Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields, but Brady Cook didn't look the best in his first career start against Jacksonville today. So those are the 10 teams sitting in the AFC playoffs. And again, the biggest thing we are looking at here, the Kansas City Chiefs are out. They are out. They're done. Their season basically over. Patrick Mahomes most likely going to, he's out for the remainder of the season. We'll see how the other Chiefs players handle it. They've never been in this situation, so we don't know how Andy Reid's going to handle, some of his veteran players. Are they just going to shut them down? Are they going to maybe try to rest them up and maybe try to get them back for another run next year? We'll see what the Chiefs decide to do, but the AFC without Kansas City is a weird thing to look at. Without Patrick Mahomes, and not even just without Patrick Mahomes, how about without Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady? You have to go way back to see that, because Mahomes really just took the torch from Brady and started running with it after Brady left to go to the Bucs after the 2019 season. So it's a weird thing to look at in the AFC playoffs and the NFL playoffs in general. The NFC is going to have rippling effects because you'll see, if you get the Super Bowl, you don't have to face Patrick Mahomes. Quick look at the NFC playoffs. 11-3 Rams remain at number one. Got a big win over Detroit today, 41-34. A phenomenal game. They were down 24-14 and just stormed back. Matthew Stafford looked great. Maybe starting to close up that MVP race out there for Matthew Stafford. They got a big one for the division, basically, against Seattle on Thursday night. The Niners sit at 10-4. The Bears are at 10-4. Packers, tough loss, 9-4, losing 9-4-1, losing Micah Parsons for the season. So it's not going to be easy for the Green Bay Packers. The Eagles are 9-5. Finally got a big win for them, 31-0 over the Raiders. It's the Raiders. It's not a big win, but it's a win. The Panthers. My goodness, what a loss for the Panthers, losing to the Saints. So the Bucs are back in first place. Somebody has to win the NFC South, guys. Panthers and Bucs play this week. They'll kind of play themselves. We'll see what happens. The Lions fall to 8-6. They're now 2 games back. Well, a game and a half. The Packers at 9-4-1. So they're a game and a half back. But they were swept by the Packers, so they're really 2 games back. What am I saying? But yeah, it's the Lions. That was a tough loss. They're now 2-4 against teams with a winning record. So it's a brutal race out there. The Bucs, again, we mentioned the Cowboys still alive, out of wild card contention, are the Cowboys now after the results of today, but they lead 20-17 currently over the Minnesota Vikings. They are trying to chase down the Philadelphia Eagles. It's now officially their only hope to make the National Football League playoffs in the NFC. So that's all the teams there. So now maybe it's time for me to give some opinions instead of just reading off teams. How about that? So in the AFC, if we look at it, I think you have genuine concerns about the New England Patriots right now. I think you have to have concerns after the way that game went against the Bills. You lose to the Bills and you get the split, it's fine. Close games, I saw someone say, there were 2 close games and the Bills won 1 and the Patriots won 1. So if you're a Patriots fan, you're fine. It's just the way it happened. Up 21-0. You have to win that game at home. I mean, you have everything going your way. It's your opportunity to take it. Coming off a bye, everything's going your way, and then the Bills just storm back and beat you. James Cook had 3 touchdowns today. How do you respond? Got about a big game against Baltimore, next week. How do you respond? And we'll see how this team does. They haven't faced much adversity this year. I mean, they're lost to the Raiders and Steelers. I mean, they had the win against Buffalo. They have some good wins, but a lot of people question their schedule, and rightfully so. We mentioned they beat up on the bad teams. They're 8-1 against teams with a losing record. That one loss was week 1 against the Las Vegas Raiders. So how are you going to respond? How are you going to handle it? And we'll see how the Patriots do. But I have a lot of concerns. Jacksonville's a team sitting there. And again, I'm trying to be unbiased here. Of course, I'm rooting for the Jags. Their team sitting there, that resume looks phenomenal. But again, if you look at the parts and you're like, is this team going to make a run? You don't think. But you look at your record, and the thing I'd ask you is if they had a different logo on their helmet, if they were, let's say, the Indianapolis Colts, let's say the Cincinnati Bengals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, will we have a different opinion on the Jacksonville Jaguars? Are we judging them because they're the Jags? Maybe we are, and maybe we should. Like, Trevor Lawrence is playing really good football right now. But is Trevor Lawrence going to be playing this way when they play the best of the best when they get to the playoffs? Right now, they'd have to play Buffalo. That'd be a really tough game. And I think most people pick Buffalo to win that game, even though it is in Duval County. Like, it would be a tough game. But the Jags sitting there, and it's like, how do you judge them? The Jags are going to win the division. They stumble here. They got a tough one. They got to go to Denver next week. That's a big game between the Broncos and Jags when you talk about the 1 seed, how that's going to play itself out. The Broncos haven't officially clinched up the AFC West yet because the Chargers sit there at 10-4, but they could maybe clinch up the AFC West with the way things go if they get the win there. So there's a lot going on in that game against Denver, which is a bigger game than most people probably thought it was going to be before the season started. So that's going to be a fun game to watch. And then, of course, the AFC North race. It's another one where someone has to win it. But it's fun to watch because it's like you look at, if Baltimore gets in, you're like, that's a threat. That's a team that can make a run in the playoffs because of who they have. It's kind of the opposite of Jacksonville. With Jacksonville, you look at the record and you look at what they've done and you're like, I don't know if I believe it yet. With the Ravens, you're like, I don't necessarily care as much about the record because I look at Lamar Jackson, I look at Derrick Henry, I look at what they have, I look at what John Harbaugh can do, and then you say they can do it. So it's kind of the opposite where you throw the record away and say this is what we believe the Ravens would be able to do in a playoff scenario, especially without Kansas City. It's just weird to think that Patrick Mahomes is not going to be in the playoffs this year. It's, that, and maybe, how is he going to come back next year coming off a torn ACL late into the season? I guess he's just following Tom Brady's route. Now, Brady tore his ACL in the first game of year 9, but, in year 9, suffering a torn ACL after winning 3 straight Super Bowls. There you go. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think the AFC playoff picture is wide open. I think there's, of course, favorites. I think you got to give the Broncos. They continue to win these one-score games. Won a great game against Green Bay. We'll see how that game goes against Jacksonville. We'll find out what Jacksonville is next week when they go to Denver. Is Jacksonville for real or aren't they for real? We'll see. It feels like maybe they're peaking at the right time. Maybe, hopefully. We'll see what they're able to do. Now, it's going to be a quick episode. I said we just wanted to recap the AFC North. We're going to do a little differently this week. Normally we have the long episode and then we cut it up into segments for you guys to watch at your own leisure. This week we've decided, since Chris wasn't able to join me today, we're going to do maybe a little more just segment episodes this week instead of the long form and then, cutting that up. So we're just doing a quick reaction today, but still want to give you guys our segments that we always give you every Monday in our episode. So Pain and Panic of the Week as always. Also, let's take a peek at game picks and upset picks because I'm doing really well and Chris is struggling, which is fun. And Chris isn't here to defend himself, so he's going to be upset. But that's besides the point. Chris's upset pick this week was the Lions to defeat the Rams at +6. Didn't work out for him. Looked like it was going to, but the Rams stormed back 41-34. Nearly got a backdoor cover. Chris complained. He would have got a push, wouldn't have got the points. But Chris complained about going for 2 after being down 14. The Lions didn't do that today. And if they did, he would have got a push. I would have given him the points, but he would have got a push. Maybe the analytics were trying to help him out, but it didn't work. Mine's Dolphins over Steelers. That happens on Monday night, so we won't have that official outcome yet. But looking at game picks this week, Chris is 8-6. I'm 9-5. Kind of a wash week. We split on Ravens Bengals. I had the Ravens. He had the Bengals, so I won that one. We split on Packers Broncos. I had the Packers. He had the Broncos, so he got that one. And then I had the Rams. He had the Lions. Of course, this is an upset pick, so that's where else we split. Some games we lost completely. We both had the Chiefs. Didn't work. Both had the Giants. Didn't work. Both had the Panthers. Didn't work. Chris's Saints get the win. Chris, no, he's not here. I think he's genuinely concerned about his New Orleans Saints. Are they going to talk themselves into taking Tyler Shuck seriously? Maybe give him an extra year. I don't know if I'd like that. They're still going to have a high pick. They just keep moving down the pecking order. Fernando Mendoza just won the Heisman Trophy. Round of applause for Fernando Mendoza from Indiana, first Indiana player to ever win the Heisman Trophy. He's going to be up there as one of the top picks. Dante Moore could be up there if he enters the draft. Lenora Sellers, who was going to be a high-end quarterback prospect, he decides he's going back to South Carolina for a year, so he is not entering the NFL draft. So we'll see how that works and what this quarterback class officially ends up looking like. But let's get into the official segment, pain and panic of the week. Just mine. Chris doesn't have his as he's not with us today, but my pain of the week, this one's tough. John Cena fans. Yep, we're going WWE. Big WWE guy. I love the WWE. I love to follow it, and my favorite since I was a wee lad was Jonathan Cena. John Cena, never give up. Hustle, loyalty, and respect. The never seen 17, the greatest of all time. Truly the GOAT of all GOATs. Love my boy John Cena. He officially retired on Saturday in a loss to Gunther, where he finally gave up. He tapped out. I'm hurting. Still hurting. It took a long time to get over this one. Now it's been a tough year for me. Blue Jays lose the World Series. Penn State National Championship hopes go 6-6. Penn State basketball loses by 45 to Indiana and then loses a heartbreaker to Michigan State. So many tough losses for my teams this year. John Cena losing his retirement match, definitely tough. But do want to say thank you, John Cena, for everything you've done for everybody in WWE, for all the fans. We truly, truly love you, and we're going to miss you. I can't wait to watch you in the DC. Big Peacemaker fan as well, so I can't wait to watch all that. But John Cena fans, we're hurting. We're hurting. We're going to be hurting for a little bit. Triple H, the fans are letting you know what we feel about how you handled John Cena's final match. So you know what they're saying. Don't need to get into it. I can't use expletives. Chris gets upset when I swear, but you know what we're talking about. Finally, my panic button. I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals. I have a bonus one. We're going to start with the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm panicking because where do they go? I feel like Zach Taylor's got to lose his job. Does he? I don't know. Do they maybe say, well, if Joe Burrow would have played the whole year, this season would have went differently? It would have. But you have to change something. This is now back-to-back years, really 3 straight years, where this team has underperformed for what maybe the expectations are for this team. They got to evaluate the defense. How do they do it? I think Al Golden's a phenomenal defensive coordinator, but the pieces aren't there. They invest so much money in, what they have with, offensive players with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow. They're investing so much money on offense. They don't have a lot for defense. I get it. But they have to find a way to change how they're doing things because it is not working in the AFC North. This was wide open this year. Joe Burrow got hurt. This team fell to 3-8. He comes back, and they had a chance to make the playoffs. The AFC North was wide open, and they still could not find a way to do it. Don't know where the Cincinnati Bengals go from here. I'd be panicking. There were some reports coming out. Is Joe Burrow going to be the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals moving forward? I think it's a dumb question. And Joe Burrow might want out, but he's not getting out. You're getting paid all that money. You're on a long-term contract. You're stuck, Joe. And they're going to have to find ways to move the pieces around. But something's got to change in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is too good. Jamar Chase is too good. That team should be too good to be underperforming year in and year out. So they got to figure out something. What are the pieces? Invest more money in defense. First of all, be willing to pay. It's been tough for Cincinnati to do for a long time. Something has to change in Cincinnati. And my last panic of the week, because I said I had a bonus one, college football as we know it. Yeah, I've talked a lot about the changing landscape of college football. I'm an NIL guy. There aren't a lot of people that are. I like NIL. Players deserve a piece of the pie. They're making so much money for these universities. The college football playoff is $1 billion thing for ESPN. They deserve a piece of the pie, and I've always been for that, and I think I'm glad they're making their money. But at the same time, when I'm seeing reports come out, it's December 14th, and I'm seeing reports today that Maryland's freshman quarterback has agreed to a deal to stay with the team. What? He was a free agent? He didn't enter the portal. But he agrees to a deal to stay. We're seeing teams working towards deals to stay, with money in that. And I'm like, that's not college football. That's the NFL. I love that the kids are making money. But at the end of the day, I don't need to see, that we're at the table with contract negotiations with the university to keep the guy to stay. I know revenue sharing's here. I get how it's going to work, but it's just a changing landscape, and it's going to take some time to get used to. Sure, in 5 years from now, I'll be like, of course, how are we negotiating this? But eventually, some things got to change because this just doesn't feel like college football. And I think everyone that loves college football the way I do will tell you that. College football playoff coming up this week. Going to be a lot of fun. Starts with Bama, Oklahoma, which is going to be a great game on Friday night. I think the way to fix it is contracts. Like they're agreeing to contracts, but put some terms on it. You got to be like the 3-year contract. You got to buy your way out of the contract. Like I heard like someone didn't have a buyout clause. Like it was Bryce Underwood at Michigan who's dealing with all those problems and, the changing of the landscape. Michigan's launched an investigation in their athletic department after some scandals coming up. Of course, you had the Jim Harbaugh stuff. Now you have this stuff with Jerome Moore. Like Bryce Underwood's like he doesn't have a buyout to his contract. I'm like, what? Like what? It's a lot. It's a changing landscape, how we do things, but I think inevitably it's just going to come to basically mini NFL, where you're going to have contracts. They're going to have a year number on it. If you want out of it, you got to pay money to get out of it. Teams can buy out your contract, things like that. And we'll see all that going on. We'll see trades here, I'm sure, soon between teams. And they'll maybe have a trade deadline. They're trying to change the calendar around so coaches don't have to leave, but now that's infringing on the academic calendar, which is something that, we're still trying to uphold. We're still trying to uphold the NCAA. Like, there's so many different changes, and they made the right decision by allowing these players to make money, but at the same time, they went in way too quick without any guidelines, and this thing has went way off the rails, and they need someone to come in and settle things back down. This isn't a basketball problem. This isn't a football problem. Basketball has this problem. Baseball has this problems in some segments of the country. More southern schools, they really invest a lot of time in baseball. They are having these problems. Like, it's an issue that people are trying to, navigate and figure out, and it's going to be interesting to see how things go from here. But, I think you should be panicking about the current landscape of college football and how it's going to change. I think once they figure it out, it's going to be better than ever. The on-field product's been phenomenal these last 2 years with the expanded playoff, but you got to find a way. We got to find a medium to figure out all this off-the-field stuff so the on-field stuff can continue to be great as it's been. All right, so like I said, it's going to be a quick episode today. Just wanted to go over the AFC playoff picture and discuss that, see how things go. Both my teams that I picked to be in the AFC Championship game are out. I had Kansas City and Cincinnati. They both get eliminated today. I feel like an idiot. I should be. Chris had the Bills and the Broncos. They look really good. I'll shout out Chris when I can. My NFC picks are looking dangerous. Bucks got help today. The Eagles are struggling. Eagles got a big win, so maybe my teams are moving in the right direction. I don't know. Probably not. The Bucks lost to the Falcons. But my predictions look horrible. Chris's look solid. He had the Niners and the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, so he had a good one. Niners look good. Eagles could be there. They're the 3 seed. Right now they'd have to play each other, I think, in the first round, but yeah, there's a lot that could go on. But the playoffs fastly approaching. Can't wait for it to come. Best time of the year. Now, bowl games coming up, playoff games coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to navigate. Basketball season in full swing, Christmas. We're trying to get more basketball. We really want to talk about basketball. The Spurs upset the Thunder to go to the NBA Cup final. I think that's great. We want to talk about more basketball. Football season, it just takes so much. Baseball free agency's going on as well. There's a lot of moving parts. Chris made the video about the Mets. Please go check it out. It's a great job. There. Also mentioned movies earlier, back when last time Kansas City missed the playoffs. Go check out the movie episode, which was cut off of our long-form episode a couple days ago. Go check that out. We had a lot of interesting talk. We love talking movies as well, so we like talking about all this stuff. So, and if there's anything you want to hear us talk about, feel free to let us know. We would love to discuss it as well. But that is going to do it here for this episode. Again, we're doing segments this week, not the long-form episode we usually do and then cutting it down. We do like the long-form episode. I miss Chris very much. Can't wait to have him back. Chris's birthday is coming up on Tuesday. Make sure to wish him a happy birthday as he turns 23 years old. So happy birthday to my partner. I'm not going to see him, but I'll of course talk to him, but we'll see him on here to be able to wish him an official happy birthday. But it's been a lot of fun. Been a lot of fun talking about the AFC playoff picture without Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. First time the Chiefs missed the playoffs since the 2014 NFL season. So please like the video, give us a subscribe. Go check out all the segments we have. We really appreciate all the support. We really appreciate all of you. We love you guys, and we thank you for making this possible. For Chris, who I'm sure is enjoying the night as much as he can, I am Adam Sheets. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.